I don't believe in mysteries, don't believe in unexplained phenomena, don't believe in supernatural bullshit or conspiracy theories or anything that can't be explained by human stupidity, human malice, or human error. After 23 years in law enforcement rangering, I've learned that 99% of mysteries are just crimes waiting to be solved, just evidence waiting to be found, just perpetrators waiting to be caught. But the tent city tested that belief, tested my skepticism, tested my certainty that everything has a rational explanation. Because when you find 26 identical tents in perfect formation in a wilderness that sees maybe 50 visitors a year, when you find them fully stocked but completely abandoned, when you find photographs of missing persons inside each one, you start questioning what you know, what you believe, what's possible. It started with a satellite tip. The National Park Service contracts with private satellite companies to monitor remote areas, looking for illegal camps, looking for poaching activity, looking for anything unusual that rangers can't reach on foot. On September 12th, satellite imagery showed something in the North Cascades, in a meadow near Cascade Pass, something that shouldn't be there, something geometric, something organized, something human-made in wilderness that should be empty. The imagery showed 26 objects, arranged in rows, 5 rows of 5 tents each, plus 1 additional tent offset from the formation, all identical in size and shape, all dome-style camping tents, all showing the same color signature in the infrared spectrum, all placed with mathematical precision, perfectly aligned, perfectly spaced, perfect military formation. Probably a commercial outfitter, my supervisor said, looking at the images. Some guided tour group. They set up base camp and everyone's out on day hikes. We'll contact the major outfitters, find out who has permits for that area, tell them to move. Too many tents in one location, concentrated impact, violation of wilderness camping regulations. No outfitter uses dome tents, I said. They use wall tents, bigger, more durable, more capacity. Dome tents are individual camping. 26 dome tents means 26 separate parties all camping in the exact same location at the exact same time in perfect formation. That doesn't happen naturally. That's organized. That's planned. That's intentional. Then it's some kind of group, scouts, church retreat, hiking club, whatever. Go check it out. Document it. Issue citations if necessary. Standard contact. But I knew it wasn't standard. Knew something was wrong. Knew 26 tents in perfect formation in one of the most remote sections of North Cascades wasn't scouts or church groups or hiking clubs, was something else. Something that required investigation. Something that required law enforcement response. I assembled a team. 4 rangers. Me plus 3 field specialists trained in wilderness law enforcement. We packed for multi-day deployment. Camping gear, evidence collection equipment, communication systems, cameras, everything we'd need for documenting what we found and staying out there as long as necessary to understand it. We hiked in on September 14th, 8 miles from the nearest trailhead. Difficult terrain, steep elevation gain, crossing 2 passes. The meadow was in a valley accessible only by serious hiking, no roads, no easy access, no casual visitors. Anyone camping there had committed to significant effort to reach it, had planned, had prepared, had reasons for choosing that specific location. The weather deteriorated as we hiked. Clear morning became overcast afternoon. Overcast became fog, thick fog. the kind that reduces visibility to maybe 50 feet, the kind that makes navigation difficult, the kind that makes you feel isolated even when you're in a group, the kind that hides things until you're right on top of them. We reached the meadow around 4 p.m., emerged from forest into open grassland, and saw them. The tents, 26 of them, exactly as the satellite imagery showed, arranged in 5 rows, perfect spacing, perfect alignment, perfect silence, no movement, no sounds, no people, just tents, waiting, empty, abandoned. We approached cautiously, hands on weapons, not drawn but ready, because 26 abandoned tents in remote wilderness isn't normal, isn't innocent, is potentially dangerous, is potentially crime scene, is potentially something that requires tactical caution and defensive positioning. "Anyone here?" I called out. "This is the National Park Service. If anyone's in the tents, please come out. We need to speak with you." Silence. Just fog and grass and 26 tents that didn't respond, that didn't move, that just sat there in perfect rows like soldiers at attention, waiting for orders that would never come. We checked the first tent, approached, listened, heard nothing. Unzipped the entrance from the outside. The zipper pull was on the exterior, meaning someone had zipped it from outside, meaning no one could be inside, because you can't zip a tent closed from outside while you're inside. The tent was empty of people, but full of equipment: sleeping bag, sleeping pad, backpack, stove, fuel canister, cookware, food MREs, military meals, ready to eat, a dozen of them, water bottles, first aid kit, flashlight, everything you'd need for extended wilderness camping, everything carefully arranged, everything unused, everything waiting for someone who wasn't there, and a photograph, 8 by 10 inch, color print, laminated, placed carefully on top of the sleeping bag. The photo showed a man, early 30s, smiling, hiking gear, mountain background, and text beneath the photo. Name: David Thornton. Date: disappeared July 15, 2019. Location: Mount Rainier National Park. I knew that name, knew that case. David Thornton, missing person, 5 years ago, experienced hiker, went into Rainier backcountry, never returned, extensive search, no trace, no body, no evidence, just gone, presumed dead, case closed, family notified, file archived. But here was his photo, in a tent in North Cascades, 5 years and 150 miles from where he disappeared, placed deliberately, placed recently. The photo wasn't weathered, wasn't aged, was pristine, like it had been placed yesterday. Check the other tents, I ordered. Document everything, photograph everything, don't disturb anything more than necessary. This is a crime scene, treat it as such. We checked all 26 tents. Every single one was identical. Same equipment, same arrangement, same supplies, same MREs, same water bottles, same gear. Like someone had ordered 26 identical camping setups and deployed them all at once in perfect formation, and every tent had a photograph. Different person in each photo, different name, different date, different location, but all the same format, all missing persons, all hikers who disappeared in various national parks across the western United States, all cases I recognized, all unsolved disappearances, all people who'd vanished in wilderness and never been found. I documented them all. I wrote down every name, every date, every location, 26 missing persons spanning 8 years, from 2016 to 2024, From parks across Washington, Oregon, California, Montana, Wyoming, all hikers, all disappeared without trace, all presumed dead, all now represented by photographs in 26 tents in a remote meadow in North Cascades. This wasn't that had contained the message, "One person is unaccounted for, one grave that should exist but didn't, one empty position in the formation." Then I saw it at the end of the line, beyond grave 25, a freshly dug hole. perfect city of those who loved wilderness enough to die in it. And now the city is complete. 25 soldiers. All that's missing is the commander, the ranger who would find them, who would understand, who would join them. That's you, Ranger Karen. Grave 26. Your grave, your position, your place in the formation. Vanished like the 63 people he'd taken, like he'd become one of them, like he'd transcended into the wilderness he'd spent 33 years using as his killing ground. We retreated to the tent city, secured the scene, called for backup, called for a major incident response, called for FBI involvement because this was a serial homicide. This was multi-state. This was federal jurisdiction. This was beyond Park Service capability. The lures. '47, North Cascades National Park, 1989-1991. They said I wasn't fit for service, but I've served longer than any of them. I've served the wilderness itself. I've made it perfect. I've populated it with those who loved it enough to die in it, and I've prepared a place for you. Grave 26, your position, your final post, your eternal duty. Come find me. Come join my city. Come take your place in the formation. I'll be waiting. The shepherd is always waiting for his flock. The message ended. The recording continued, showing empty clearing, showing graves, showing the city waiting, showing grave 26. Empty, ready, prepared for me, for Mitch Karen, for the ranger who found the city. We evacuated the next morning, took the video evidence, took photographs of all the graves, took documentation of all the tents, took the missing persons photos, took everything we could carry, left the tent city standing because it was a crime scene, left the graves covered because we needed forensic teams to properly excavate, left grave 26 empty because filling it would be admitting defeat, would be accepting Shepard's narrative, would be allowing him to claim me even in my absence. Faith BI responded within 48 hours. Major investigation, multi-agency task force, identification of the 25 bodies, notification of families, confirmation that all 25 matched missing persons from various parks spanning 2016-2024. Confirmation that Gerald Shepard was a real person, former ranger. Dismissed 1991, no known address, no employment records since then, no contact with family, no presence in any database. Ghost, living off-grid for 33 years, surviving in the wilderness, hunting hikers, creating cities of the dead. Search efforts were launched. Extensive search, helicopters, ground teams, K9 units, infrared, drones, everything available, searching for Shepard, searching for other grave sites, searching for the other 38 victims he claimed, searching for evidence, searching for answers, searching for closure. They found nothing. No Shepard, no other grave sites, no evidence beyond the tent city. Just 25 bodies, just one confession on video, just one empty grave, just one missing serial killer who'd spent 33 years perfecting his craft The investigation is ongoing. The search continues. But Shepherd remains unfound, remains at large, remains out there, remains the shepherd, remains the ranger who served longer than anyone, who made wilderness perfect, who created the cities of the dead, who has one final position to fill. I still work in the North Cascades, still patrol the backcountry, still hike alone sometimes, still go to remote areas, still do my job, but I'm aware now, aware that I'm not just enforcing the law. I'm also avoiding becoming evidence, avoiding becoming a victim, avoiding becoming the occupant of Grave 26. Avoid giving Shepherd the completion he wants, the perfection he seeks, the ranger who would join his city, who would take a position in his formation, who would face the mountains forever in a seated position with their hands tied behind their back. To the ranger who finds this, that's what he said, and I found it. I'm the ranger. I'm the first responder. I'm the investigator. I'm the one who discovered his city, which means I'm the one he wants. I'm the one he's waiting for. I'm the one who has a grave prepared, who has a position reserved, who has a place in his perfect formation. Every time I hike backcountry, I wonder if today is the day, if this is the trail where he's waiting, if this is the moment when the shepherd completes his city, when Grave 26 is filled, when the formation is perfected, when the ranger who found the city becomes part of the city. Forever, I carry extra equipment now, always armed, always communicating position, always hiking with partners when possible, always alert, always watching, always aware that somewhere in the North Cascades, a former ranger with badge 2847 is doing the same thing, carrying equipment, always armed, always tracking my position, always hiking, always watching, always planning, always preparing, always waiting for the moment when the first ranger who found his city becomes the final resident of his city. The abandoned tent city is gone, but the threat remains. The grave remains. The position remains. The shepherd remains. Gerald Shepherd, badge 2847, dismissed 1991, operating 1991-2024, 63 victims claimed, 25 confirmed, 38 unaccounted, 1 grave unfilled, 1 ranger targeted, 1 confrontation inevitable, 1 outcome is uncertain. I'm not a mystery believer. I'm a skeptic. I deal in evidence, facts, and rational explanations. But I can't explain how a 60-year-old former ranger has survived 33 years in the wilderness while conducting serial murder across 7 parks, while evading all law enforcement, while creating perfect formations, while documenting his work, while preparing graves, while waiting for specific rangers, while planning confrontations, while escaping pursuits, while remaining at large, while being confirmed on video, while having known identity, while being actively hunted and yet remaining unfound. I can't explain that with evidence, facts, or rational thought. his final position, facing the mountains in seated posture, with hands tied behind back in shallow grave in remote meadow in North Cascades, where no one will find him until satellites reveal another city, another formation, another installation by Gerald Shepard, who served 1989-1991 and never stopped serving and never will stop serving and never will be stopped until his city is complete and his final grave is filled and his perfect army is assembled. I don't know, can't know, won't know until it happens, until I hike the wrong trail, until I'm in the wrong place, until I encounter the wrong fellow hiker wearing vintage ranger uniform with badge 2847 who knows my name and knows my role and knows I'm the ranger who found his city and knows I'm destined for grave 26 and has been waiting 33 years for this moment and won't miss his opportunity and won't fail his mission and won't leave his city incomplete. The tent city is abandoned. The graves are excavated. The bodies are recovered. The evidence is collected. The investigation continues. The search persists. The threat remains. The shepherd waits. The city is incomplete. Grave 26 is empty. And Mitch Caron still hikes the North Cascades, still patrols the backcountry, still does his job, still lives, still breathes, still avoids becoming the 26th occupant of a formation he discovered, but wishes he hadn't, wishes he'd never followed the satellite tip, wishes he'd never checked those tents, wishes he'd never read that message, wishes he'd never followed those broken stems, wishes he'd never found those graves, wishes he'd never seen that empty hole prepared and waiting and labeled and claiming and threatening and promising and guaranteeing that someday, somehow, somewhere in the North Cascades, the shepherd will complete his city, will fill his final grave, will perfect his formation, will claim the ranger who found what wasn't meant to be found but couldn't be left hidden. 26 tents, 25 graves, one empty, one waiting, one reserved, one inevitable. One final position in a perfect formation created by a perfect predator who was a perfect ranger who became perfectly merged with perfect wilderness, where perfect crimes create perfect mysteries that have perfect evidence but no perfect solutions, because the perpetrator is perfectly camouflaged, perfectly patient, perfectly prepared, perfectly positioned, perfectly aware, perfectly, hunting perfectly, waiting perfectly, knowing that perfection requires completion and completion requires grave. 26 and grave 26 requires Mitch Caron, and Mitch Caron knows this and can't stop it and can only delay it and hope it and pray it never comes but knows it will come. Because the shepherd always completes his cities, and his final city has one final grave and one final occupant and one final position, and that position is mine. The abandoned tent city taught me something, taught me that mysteries exist, that unexplained things happen, that rational thought can't always explain human evil, that skepticism fails when confronted with serial killers who were rangers who become wilderness, who create cities who wait decades, who claim victims across states, who evade capture, who leave evidence, who confess on video, who prepare graves, who target investigators, who remain at large, who become legend, who become the thing parents warn children about when hiking in North Cascades. Watch for the shepherd. He collects hikers, he builds cities, he creates formations, he has a grave waiting. Maybe for you, maybe for everyone. maybe for the next person who hikes alone in remote valleys where tents appear in perfect rows and graves wait in perfect formations and shepherds tend perfect flocks of perfect victims in perfect positions facing perfect mountains, forever perfectly dead, perfectly positioned, perfectly part of perfectly abandoned tent cities that are never truly abandoned because the shepherd is always there, always watching, always waiting, always tending his flock, always preparing the next grave, always knowing the next name, always claiming the next victim. 26 tents, 25 filled, one empty, one waiting, one mine, forever mine, until it's mine, literally, until it's mine, eternally, until the shepherd completes his perfect city, and I take my perfect position and grave. 26 becomes grave occupied, and the formation is complete, and the city is perfect. And the shepherd can rest, knowing his work is done, and his service is complete, and his time as ranger is vindicated, and his dismissal is avenged, and his 33 years are validated, and his 63 victims are memorialized, and his 7th city is finished, and his final grave is filled, and Mitch Karen is no longer the ranger who found the city, but the ranger who joined the city forever, perfectly. In grave 26, hands tied, seated position, facing the mountains, part of the formation, part of the flock, part of the shepherd's perfect abandoned tent city that was never really abandoned because the city lives forever in the minds of those who found it, and in the grave of those who joined it, and in the plans of the shepherd who created it and waits to complete it and knows exactly how it ends. With me, in that grave, perfectly positioned, perfectly claimed, perfectly part of his perfectly abandoned tent city.
Friends, that was the story for today. I hope you enjoyed it and that it stayed with you in the best chilling way possible. If you made it all the way to the end, thank you. Your time and support truly mean more than you know. This channel is growing because of listeners like you. If you want more real and disturbing encounters like this, please consider subscribing. It really helps the channel continue bringing these stories to life. And if this story gave you chills, let me know in the comments. I read them all, and your thoughts make this community stronger. Until next time, turn off the lights, double-check the room, and I'll see you in the next story.